On News at 10, tears and anger. Why didn't the E. coli farm warn us?
And a stroll down memory lane with chart-topping Dame Vera. That's at 10.
Critically ill, the twins fighting E. coli. Should the farm at the centre of the outbreak have been shut sooner?
To see your two babies lying in cots with all these tubes coming out of them.
The mother of two young boys who suffered kidney failure has told News at 10 she's appalled at the way the outbreak has been handled. As thousands of parents wait to discover whether their children have been infected, we ask, why did health officials wait so long to close the farm?
Also on News at 10. A government U-turn on plans to vet millions of volunteers who work with children. My husband, your father, our hero. A widow's tribute.
I'm the luckiest girl in the world to have married such an amazing man and to be the mummy of our little boy.
And reigning supreme, Dame Vera on why success is even sweeter as time goes by.
It's amazing, really. I don't know what the idea is, whether it's a surge of nostalgia.
Good evening. With tears in her eyes and anger in her voice, one mother summed up the emotions of parents whose children have been stricken with E. coli from an infected farm. Why wasn't it shut down days ago? Tracy Mock said her twin boys wouldn't be in hospital now, needing dialysis, if the authorities had acted faster. Thousands of children carried on visiting the farm. 12 under 10s are now in hospital. 3 are seriously ill. Many more could develop symptoms. Geraint Vincent has our report.
Todd and Aaron are 2-year-old twins. 2 weeks ago, their parents took them for a day out on the farm. Now they have kidney failure and a mother who doesn't know what to do.
To see your two babies lying in cots with all these tubes coming out of them. There's nothing I can do apart from try and comfort them.
Godstone Farm was hugely popular with people with young families. It had up to 2,000 visitors each day of the summer holidays. To pet and stroke the animals. It's all part of the learning experience, all part of the fun.
We had a lovely family day out. I would like to emphasise the fact that we did wash our hands when we had finished petting the animals. Not that we did pet any, high-risk animals. I would have thought a guinea pig and a chicken. I think Jodie touched a sheep, and we washed our hands and we went and played and did all the things that you do at Godstone Farm.
Tracy's daughter Jodie was old enough to fight off the virus. While she recovers at home, her mum and dad are taking it in turns to be at her brother's hospital bedside.
I'm just appalled and shocked in the fact that the farm, even though my children, all my children have been ill, that they were ill in hospital and they were on dialysis at the time, and the farm still wasn't closed. And all these poor children that are going to be coming in now and have got sick, including mine, that should never have become sick.
Godstone Farm is now closed and inspectors have been there all day. But for Tracy and thousands of other worried parents, that action has been taken too late. Tracy's back at the hospital tonight. Her boys face a tough fight to get better. All she can do is hope. And it's at this hospital in South London where the twins are being cared for tonight. They are, I'm told, in a serious but stable condition connected to those kidney dialysis machines which are, to all intents and purposes, keeping them alive just at the moment. Now, as we know, in rare cases, E. coli infections can be fatal. Tracy has been told, though, that her boys will come home, but that they could be in hospital for several weeks, and there's no way of knowing yet whether or not the infection has done any permanent damage to them. Extremely worrying time for her.
All right, Geraint, thank you very much indeed.
So why didn't health officials close the farm rather than simply insist that children shouldn't touch the animals? The Health Protection Agency claimed today that its procedures had worked in the past, but they've admitted that they'll be changing their policy after this unprecedented outbreak. Our medical correspondent Sue Saville reports.
Wherever it was that the danger lurked, perhaps in the sandpit, the picnic area or directly on the animals, it's become clear tonight that the Health Protection Agency had at least 2 opportunities to close Godstone Farm but didn't take them. Today the farm manager was tight-lipped.
We were busy with the authorities and I've got no further comments, I'm afraid.
Though the scale at Godstone Farm is unprecedented, catching E. coli at a farm attraction is not. The case of Tom Dowling nearly a decade ago should have been a warning. Tom was left brain damaged after a school visit to another farm and later died. The family lawyer says lessons have been forgotten.
Memories fade. People years ago, 10 years ago, every parent in this country, I think 10 years ago, knew about the Tom Dowling case and the risk of going to farms.
At Godstone Farm, the first confirmed case was on August the 27th. The next day, health officers told the farm to remind visitors to wash their hands. 3 more cases were reported on September the 1st, including one who'd visited in early August. 2 days later, the Health Protection Agency ordered contact with high-risk animals to stop. Last Friday, a case was found that happened after control measures were started. The next day, 16 days after the first case, the farm was closed. The Health Protection Agency now admits guidelines may have to change.
We did what happens regularly, well, certainly occasionally around the country when cases come up. We followed standard advice, which has been proven to be effective up to this date. It may be that we learn from this one that it wasn't and that we have to change our guidance. But we know we act on what we know at the time.
But you are the Health Protection Agency. Your number one aim is to protect public health. Have you not failed in this case?
Well, I don't think we have, and I don't think we can ever protect health absolutely. This is a question of risk management.
And now they must pinpoint the source of the infection and work out how best to decontaminate the area. Sue Saville, News at 10.
3 days after parents were told they face being vetted if they take groups of children to brownies, football clubs and the like, the plan is on hold for now. The idea caused quite a stir. Now the Children's Secretary, Ed Balls, says he wants to reconsider before bringing it in. Our political correspondent Lucy Manning reports on the change of tack.
It was supposed to protect children, but it's just angered their parents. Police checks and vetting the reward for ferrying the kids and their friends about. So after the outcry, the review.
I don't want unnecessary burdens for parents, but at the same time, we can't have a position where people can manipulate their past, can hide things they've done, can be going in regularly to schools or helping in a Cub Scout troop and using that as a way of getting at and harming children. It's the precise details which we need to look at so we can give full confidence in the next couple of months that a system which starts next summer is exactly right.
11 million people would have been vetted. A parent driving other children to help out a sports or social club, even just once a month, faced checks. Now the man in charge of those checks will decide if that's too frequent.
What I've been asked to do is to focus very specifically on whether the government has got the rules right about who should be vetted in relation to the length of time that they spend with children and vulnerable adults.
Well, this is a U-turn of sorts. The government in effect admitting that maybe it has been too strict with this scheme. But it won't be ditched. And in the end, millions of people working with vulnerable adults and young children will still be vetted. It was brought in to stop another Ian Huntley. But the NSPCC argued it was just stopping people doing normal things. Lucy Manning, News at 10, Westminster.
3 men convicted of plotting to blow up transatlantic planes were jailed today for a total of 108 years. At the sentencing, the judge described their plot as a grave and wicked conspiracy, which could have been on a par with the September 11th attacks.
In New York, scene of those 9/11 attacks, police have raided homes in the suburb of Queens as part of an anti-terrorism investigation. The early morning searches are said to have been carried out by the FBI.
The trial over the murder of British student Meredith Kercher resumed today in Italy. Amanda Knox and Knox's ex-boyfriend Raffaele Sollecito are both charged with the killing. Both deny the charges.
And Sir Elton John's hopes of adopting a Ukrainian orphan are in doubt tonight after the authorities stepped in to block it. The singer wants to adopt a 14-month-old boy he met on a visit to an orphanage. Ukraine's family minister says he's too old and unmarried.
It's the four-letter word Labour can't bring itself to utter: cuts. But Lord Mandelson did appear to beat a retreat from big spending to what he called wise spending today, but only, he said, once the recession is over.
Tonight, the Liberal Democrats went further than any other party in not only saying they would cut, but also telling us where they'd do it. Our political editor, Tom Bradby, reports.
They still haven't quite managed to use the word cuts, but Peter Mandelson brought his party a lot closer today, repeatedly.
There will be pressures on spending. We will have to prioritise and we will have to economise. We need to be effective state social democrats, not big state social democrats.
If you wonder about their reluctance, you need only look at the TUC, currently meeting in Liverpool. The unions largely fund Labour now, and they are, unsurprisingly, very resistant to the idea of cuts in public services.
Our country can't afford to write off another generation to mass unemployment.
So Labour, here at a political cabinet this morning, won't talk about cuts at all, and the Tories will, but won't say how much they want to cut or what. That leaves the Liberal Democrats and their economic spokesman Vince Cable here at breakfast at home this morning. He is now prepared to talk at least about what his party might cut. In a pamphlet tomorrow, he'll call for a freeze in public sector pay. He wants to cut the salaries, or at least the packages, of those earning more than $100,000 in the public sector by 25%. He'd force public sector workers to pay more for their pensions. He'd scrap ID cards as well as the new NHS computer system, and he'd save billions by abandoning the replacement for Trident. But what he won't do is say how much he wants to save.
Don't you have to be straight with the British people and say, look, things are much, much worse than you think?
No, I do say in this report that I think the government's figures are probably optimistic. It may be that the British economy isn't going to recover the way they think it is. It may be actually worse than they believe. But what they themselves acknowledge is that they're going to have to be very, very severe cuts. They just won't explain how they're going to do it.
The truth is, we were spending a lot more than we were earning as a nation even before recession hit, so we are potentially in quite serious trouble now. But how much should we borrow next year and the year after? What kind of cuts or tax rises should be implemented? No one here is yet prepared to give anything like a full answer to that question. Tom Bradby, News at 10 at Westminster.
It was America that triggered the financial chaos that plunged banks around the world into meltdown. Time has not healed the anger there, directed at Dick Fuld, the boss of Lehman Brothers, which collapsed a year ago. He and his greed took the blame for taking the investment bank to oblivion, overwhelmed by bad debts. Today, President Obama spoke about the Lehman collapse as he set out tough new rules and a new regulator to stop the same thing happening again. Our Washington correspondent John Irvine reports.
September has been a cruel month for New York's capitalist icons. Friday saw the 8th anniversary of the World Trade Center collapse. Now it's a year since the fall of Lehman Brothers. And while nobody died, the bank's demise also posed a threat to our way of life.
They used to trade informally.
These days you can tour both Ground Zeroes, guides on Wall Street, talk you through those dark days when what happened here took the world to the brink.
It's like a Frankenstein engineering, you know, they cobble all these pieces together and create a monster that eventually goes out and destroys the town.
While much has been written and said about the events of the last 12 months, this is still a story with something missing. There are plenty of villains, but there's no obvious hero.
Outstanding public officials.
President Obama wants to be cast in that role. Stocks are up 50% since he took office, but he spoke for many Americans when he used this anniversary to warn Wall Street to watch itself.
We will not go back to the days of reckless behavior and unchecked excess that was at the heart of this crisis. where too many were motivated only by the appetite for quick kills and bloated bonuses.
Powerful words, but 1 year on, this investment banker says there's been no action.
Nothing has really changed. There's been an awful lot of banter about changing financial regulations and everything else, but nothing has come out of it.
As for villains, chief among them was Lehman's boss Richard Fuld, who was famously unforthcoming when grilled on Capitol Hill.
But you get to keep $480 million. I have a very basic question for you. Is this fair?
One of his former employees isn't quite so reticent.
I mean, Lehman Brothers was never rotten at the core. That's where all the beauty was. She was really rotten at the head.
Today, Mr. Fuld has started a new company giving financial advice. 1 year on, we're still wondering, can Wall Street really clean up its act? John Irvine, News at 10, New York.
Still to come on tonight's News at 10, fighting back, an exclusive interview with football's hard man and how he's coping with cancer.
You worry about people who you maybe leave behind, and people who've always been there for you, really.
We'll meet again.
Don't know when, don't know when.
Still going strong, how the Force's sweetheart took on the Beatles and won.
And caught on webcam, the prince and his close encounter with a spider called Sarah. A British soldier has been killed in Afghanistan, the 214th since the conflict began. He was a member of the 2nd Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's regiment, and was shot while on foot patrol in the Babaji area of Helmand province. His family has been told.
Well, last month it was the family of Sergeant Paul Maliss who were given the same tragic news. Today, his widow Joanne was awarded the new Elizabeth Cross in recognition of his sacrifice. She allowed television cameras to film the ceremony and the funeral service that followed so that her newborn son could learn one day about his father, the hero. Rupert Evelyn reports.
Paul Maliss used to tell his wife that she and every other army wife deserved a medal. Today, Joanne was given an Elizabeth Cross, recognition of her loss and his sacrifice.
I feel glad that the sacrifice that people give is being recognised, not only for me but for everybody else that's in a similar situation. I think it's not that a medal will ever make anything easier, but it is nice to know that it's recognised.
Sergeant Paul Maliss died on the front line in Afghanistan. Joanne has chosen to share her grief so we can see what death at war really means. But more importantly, so their little boy can one day watch what happened when his father died.
I just want to say thank you, Mac, for making me laugh, for showing me love and for making me the person that I am today. You gave me the best 5 years of my life. And I'm the luckiest girl in the world to have married such an amazing man and to be the mummy of our little boy.
Paul's father, John Maliss, an SAS hero from another era, united in their family's grief. A sacrifice for his country and a tragic loss to those closest to him. Rupert Evelyn, News at 10, Hereford.
The sight of striker John Hartson bearing down on goal was enough to frighten many a defender. But now the hard man of the Arsenal and Celtic forward line has been talking to News at 10 about his fear of coping with testicular cancer. It has spread to his lungs and his brain. The disease has a 95% survival rate if caught early. But as John acknowledged in his interview with our correspondent Neil Connery, he left it too long.
You fight your way through different battles in life, but this for sure will be my biggest battle.
He's one of football's toughest stars, but John Hartson has never faced anything like this.
I could probably squeeze into that kid now.
Testicular cancer has spread to his brain and lungs, He only found out in July when he almost lost his life and needed emergency surgery.
They did all the scans, and then everybody received the news that it spread to my lung and up to my brain. And then they operated. They did 2 brain operations within the space of a couple of days, I believe. And basically, I don't remember a lot, but I don't probably think it's not a bad thing, you know.
There's Hartson. No answer to that. Hartson says the character he showed as a player has helped his fight in some ways, but he's facing the uncertainty head on.
Well, it's just the cancer, isn't it? I think it's been diagnosed with cancer, and I still have cancer, you know. So I don't know, even sitting here, I don't know where I am in terms of the markers could be running through my body now, or they could be clearing up. You know, they could have spread up to my brain, they could have gone onto my lung, I don't know.
Are you still feeling very sick?
Nausea, yeah.
The exhausting chemotherapy and treatment take their toll. John hopes others can learn from his experience to stop testicular cancer earlier.
Well, I think don't leave it as late as I did. I think if you can feel any sort of lump in your testicle area, I think it's very important to go and have it looked at. I left it for the best part of 3.5, 4 years, and it was like it was half the size of a marble. Don't leave it the distance that I did, because you can avoid all the trouble and all the strife, if you like, of going through what I've had to go through.
John's already a doting dad of 3, but he told me he's to become a father for the 4th time. He's also planning to marry his girlfriend Sarah as he battles cancer.
You worry about people who you maybe leave behind, and, you know, people who've always been there for you, really. You know, they're the people that matter.
John believes his journey so far has shown him the true meaning of being tough.
Toughness can come from inside, you know. I think the real sort of tough people are inside. I don't think it's sometimes outside. I think when something like this happens, I think that's when you can show your toughness.
John Hartson talking there to Neil Connery.
Manchester City striker Emmanuel Adebayor should hear tomorrow if he'll be punished over 2 incidents during Saturday's game against Arsenal. The FA are examining video footage and an alleged stamp on former teammate Robin van Persie, and for running the length of the pitch to celebrate a goal in front of his old fans. The head of the Players' Union believes the game's stars must be aware of their actions.
Players and clubs and everybody in the game has a duty to portray the best image of the game. The fact is, though, it is a fast-moving physical contact game. Emotions can run high. That's part of the attraction of football.
And Arsenal have won their appeal over UEFA's decision to ban their striker Eduardo for 2 Champions League matches. He was suspended after being found guilty of diving to win a penalty in last month's qualifier against Celtic. But Eduardo will now be able to play for Arsenal against Standard Liège on Wednesday.
Roger Federer is on course to make history again tonight with a record 16th Grand Slam title. He's the father of 6-week-old twins, but it's the achievements of a new mum that's won admiration and astonishment in New York.
Mummy's done it!
Yes, Kim Clijsters won the women's singles just 35 days after returning to full-time tennis. Her 18-month-old daughter, Jada, stole the show on court. One of the sport's greats, who won 3 Grand Slams after becoming a mother, says it can improve your game.
I just found, I was a lot more relaxed. I think after I won my first Grand Slam after having a child, I probably had one of my best years. I won 23 out of 24 tournaments and had a peak of fitness, and I think she's looking very, very fit.
Dame Vera Lynn told us today it's amazing that she's top of the album charts at the age of 92. She says the popularity of her songs, which helped prevent the Beatles getting to #1, may be something to do with so many service personnel being in Afghanistan. Our Europe correspondent Robert Moore took a stroll down memory lane with the Grande Dame of music at her home in the south of France.
Has Britain ever had a less likely or a more modest #1 artist, or indeed a more deserving one? Dame Vera gazed out at the Mediterranean, having just made music history.
We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when.
But I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
But what I wanted to know of the Force's sweetheart is the secret of her success. Is it pure nostalgia? Or is it because British troops are once again fighting on foreign soil?
It's amazing, really. I don't know what the idea is, whether it's a surge of nostalgia or because there are still wars going on and it's a fitting song, it's a great little tune and the words say it all. So it's one of those songs, I think, that will never die.
What's your message to those enduring war and heartbreak all over again?
Well, it's terrible to think. I mean, we thought that the last war was going to end all wars. It's terrible to think that they're still going on around the world. And all I can do is, to wish the boys good luck, take care of yourself and the families that they leave at home. Have courage and hope for the future.
A national treasure and in remarkable health, Dame Vera is taking a quiet joy and a deep pride in knowing that exactly 70 years on, Britons young and old are falling in love with her songs once more.
Don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. It's a bit early in the morning to sing.
Robert Moore, News at 10 in Cannes.
On tomorrow's front pages, the Daily Telegraph says workers who fall ill during holidays will be able to claim the time back under a landmark European court ruling. The Express says unions want higher taxes on middle-income earners so public spending can carry on rising. And The Guardian says the government will drop its plans to extend maternity pay from 9 months to a year because it can't afford to.
And finally, Prince William showed the importance of inherited characteristics as he opened the new Darwin Centre at London's Natural History Museum, following in the footsteps of both his mother and father. And as Tim Hewitt reports, the Prince had an incy-wincy problem on his hands.
The Prince last came to the Natural History Museum as a small boy with his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. Now he's following his father's footsteps, showing a passion for all things living, even mosquitoes.
I have about 20 of these in my room the other week.
In the Galapagos Islands this year, Prince Charles named a baby turtle after his son.
William.
There was a spider, not a turtle, for William in the Natural History Museum's new cocoon attraction, a red-kneed Mexican tarantula called Sarah, not for the faint-hearted.
There is a tarantula on the loose somewhere in the cocoon. It was given to me and I seem to have lost it. If you see it, she goes by the name of Sarah. So if you could usher her towards someone who looks equally as petrified as I was.
It's a great picture, of course, the future King of England with Sarah the tarantula. But for those who care about natural history and the future of the planet, Prince William's visit here today has a much greater significance.
We are very fortunate in having a tradition that, starting with, well, most spectacularly with Prince Philip, who called attention to the world to problems of conservation, and then the Prince of Wales, and now Prince William. We are very lucky to have those leaders who are calling attention to this very, very, very important issue.
And it's a cause Prince William intends to embrace as official appearances like this become an increasing part of his routine. Tim Hewitt, News at 10 at the Natural History Museum.
And that is tonight's News at 10.
From Julie and from me, good night, and thank you for watching.
Good night.
My windscreen! Calm down, dear. It's not a real icicle. It's sponsorship for Esure, the insurance experts.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. We're seeing very little change across the UK as we move through the night. It's still a largely dry picture, misty bits forming in places as well, and quite cool under clearing skies. However, up towards the far north and the far south and southeast, a little bit of rain in places, but really nothing much to write home about. Now, as we look ahead to tomorrow and across the northern half of the UK, the best conditions will be away from this northwestern quarter, where generally speaking it's going to be a fairly cloudy day with light and patchy rain appearing at times. It's an old weak weather front here, but in the best of the sunshine across the east and southeast, we're going to see highs of 18 Celsius. Further south, it's a similar story to what we saw today. Perhaps the rain to the southeast pepping up a bit, quite blustery as well, but even so, for many of us, highs of 19 Celsius. Good night, see you soon.
Esure, the only insurance company approved by me, Michael Winner.
In London tonight, under investigation. Why did police spray this man with CS gas when he'd already been handcuffed? And Boris in the Big Apple. The mayor hits New York to shout about London. Good evening to you, I'm Ben Scotchbrook. Essex police have launched an investigation following accusations of police brutality. The incident, which we're about to show you, involves the arrest of a man who was sprayed directly in the face with CS gas after he'd been handcuffed. You may find some of the images in Phil Bale's report disturbing.
Firefighters were tackling a blaze in Brentwood when police who'd cordoned off High Street were asked to help eject a man from a pub opposite. What follows has led to demands for an independent inquiry into their methods, especially their use of CS gas. 2 women accuse police of injuring the man. They are told to leave the area. Meanwhile, he lies handcuffed face down and his ankles are bound. There is blood on the curb, his face is in the road. An officer appears to tell the shouting woman she will be restrained too if she doesn't leave. A sergeant grabs her by the neck, moves her to the side and then pushes a woman who intervenes. A policewoman runs in, grabs the second woman and both of the protesters are pushed to the ground. The first woman has her hands cuffed behind her back. What happens next to the man gives the greatest cause for concern. He's forced onto the bonnet of a car, apparently kneed, and despite being restrained is sprayed with CS gas into an open wound or wounds several times. The first reaction when sprayed in the eyes is to wipe them. The man cannot do that. Apparently crying out in pain, he's put on the ground. The women are told to stay down, and an officer asks them if they want to be sprayed too. John O'Connor, a former head of the flying squad, viewed these pictures and called for an investigation by the Police Complaints Commission.
In this case, I don't think there are enough officers, because it certainly seems that the injuries that this man sustained look as though they were sustained during the incident rather than beforehand, and that's not really acceptable.
Mr O'Connor doesn't want the officers disciplined but retrained, but the police's own guidelines say spray shouldn't be used less than a metre away unless risk to the officer is severe. Essex police have launched an investigation. They say any allegations of excessive force or assault are taken very seriously. The investigation will consider all evidence available to determine whether the officers acted correctly at all times. But civil liberties groups condemned the use of gas.
Here, I can't see any justification on the basis of the footage I've seen for using it so close, and as I say, dangerously close. It can have really devastating side effects.
Some who witnessed last night's incident say police had no choice.
The reason they done that is because he was out of control, you see.
A 28-year-old man was arrested for common assault, public order offences and being drunk and disorderly. 2 women were arrested under the Public Order Act. All are still in custody. Phil Bales, London Tonight, Brentwood.
A couple more headlines for you now, and some news just in. The Olympic medal-winning boxer Darren Sutherland has been found dead at home by his manager Frank Maloney.